So here's the thing. Stefan wrote to me and said, I'm interested in using that new 3 futures frames thing for a workshop I'm doing, which is checking that was alright. I was going to build on it and so on. And I realised I didn't really have a long blog post or a talk online about it. So I'm just recording this quickly to talk about what it is, where it came from, and how I'm thinking about it at this moment in October 2024. So, it's based on the Experiential Futures Ladder, which I've been using in work since about 2016, 2017, just moving people down through the experience gulf between abstract and possible futures as the essay goes. And it's been really useful, but I have noticed something about it. You take these 3 sections of scenarios and situations and stuff, which are basically, as I've been thinking about them, you go, the scenarios is the high level world building stuff, so it's very economicsy. The situations begin to set futures in an intuitive context, and then the stuff is like a more modern, perhaps, way of using futures in which you give people ways of touching and feeling and using it. In the original talk, I pointed out that there would be t-shirts would not be available on the mezzanine afterwards, although there now might be some t-shirts in the offing. Anyway, scenarios, situation, stuff. In a way, people treat it like a process. You do scenarios and then situations and then stuff. So it's almost like any other design model. It's just kind of like, oh, we must move to completion and do this thing. And I don't think that was really the original intention, but I think because it has fallen into the design futures vernacular, it's like, oh, we must get to this stage and then we are done. I like metaphors, obviously. And so leaning into the Experiential Futures Ladder, my core belief about it is ladders for climbing. You're meant to go up and down and up and down. Recently, Paul Graham Raven's done some really nice work based on Mika Bala's narrative theories, talking about almost in the same way of moving from scenarios to situation to stuff. But actually there's a little bit of language in here that I find really useful. So when he talks about the fabula, the world, Paul says there are inexhaustible stories you can tell about the things that are happening in that world. And then you come down a level again and you go, within one story there are inexhaustible texts and inexhaustible perspectives, different characters, different things going on and so on. So you won't be able to run out of these things, but you can go back up to the other level. Inexhaustible ladder climbing, however, feels exhausting. It's sort of like, oh, I have to go up and down and up and down. So I was drawing it out in various different articulations, just trying to make the point to clients and students that actually it's not just a process where you go scenarios, situation, stuff. You want to be able to sort of to go up and down and see which each layer tells you about the ones that you've been through before. Originally, my ladder idea was like a librarian's ladder that you could move around on each of the layers to sort of to explore different areas of it. But as I say, inexhaustible ladder climbing sounds exhausting. But that's not actually what we're asking people to do. Really, it's this. It's like holding your phone up to things with those layers and levels of zoom. Just going zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. So I wanted to frame the model moving forward for myself, for teaching, for work, just as this. So scenario, situation stuff, it's about zooming in and zooming out. And the scenario, it can be populated by signals that you turn into trends that then you create scenarios from, for instance. The situation level, you can use things like, I quite like the service design thing, which is quite old now, but the AEIOU. So you just go situate it in a school or a supermarket or a border control and go, okay, so what are the things that are interacting here and what's going on? And once you get to those situations, you can then get into this stuff and you can look around at the things that exist in the world today and just work out how those will change. But that's not the end of the process, obviously. You go zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. Sure, you're doing different sorts of work, which will be collect material, imagine worlds, describe situations, depict changes, identify experiences, create objects. But then every time you do something in one of the frames, you go, right, I've made some objects, but where else might that object live? Or that service, or whatever else? Where else is it having an effect? Or indeed not having an effect because it's taken something away? And what does it really rely on, and how has our original scanning missed some of the implications that we are now saying that this thing will have? How do we go back to that scenario layer and think again about that and really improve the quality of our work? Often I think I'm frustrated by speculative design work, which is almost like it only exists at the stuff layer and maybe the situation, and there doesn't seem to be a lot under the scenario. And that's okay if you're using it as an exploratory device to then think about what you should go and collect and what you should be looking for. But really, it's sort of like this is the 3 future frames is a model for thinking about every time I work on one of the layers, it should be making me ask questions about the other 2. So that's it. It's an abductive reasoning engine, really. It just, every time you're doing work within it, you're going back and forth and going, I wonder where the place to look next is. I wonder how we can make this even better. So the question rises, like, how do you know when it's finished? And you go, well, you know you're finished with design futures when the thing is changed. When you have achieved the thing that you are trying to go out. And if you're not achieving it yet, you got to think about, okay, maybe there's a different way of going about this that is or isn't design futures. So that is 3 futures frames. I hope that's useful, Stefan, and other people too. Bye.